Every Dragon Ball Z fan knows about Dragon Ball GT, right? Right? Dragon Ball GT takes place after Dragon Ball Z and deals with Goku and his friends facing off against new villains and foes and some old ones. Dragon Ball GT brings back pretty much all the characters from Dragon Ball Z and adds some new ones, but in the end, it doesn't adapt the manga by Toriyama. Dragon Ball GT wasn't looked at as good as Dragon Ball Z, but nevertheless, I'm your boy Joshua Freeman, and today I'm going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of Dragon Ball GT. Dragon Ball GT lacked in comparison to Dragon Ball Z for a variety of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is Vegeta. In Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta's goal is to be the
Soon all will know I am the strongest in the universe!
And in Dragon Ball GT, Vegeta's goal is to grow a mustache. I mean, yes, Vegeta does actually end up respecting Goku by the end of Dragon Ball Z and admitting he's the best, but that doesn't mean he just loses his will to fight. I mean, after all, he is still a Saiyan. And I think that's one of the things Dragon Ball Super does well with Vegeta, which is basically give him a new motivation to fight.
You've forsaken all else and dare to call my cause trivial? I fight for Bulma, for Trunks and Bulla. I fight for the oath I made to a fellow warrior, for my Saiyan pride.
Plus, it made more sense that Vegeta would stop fighting after Cell dies because of Goku sacrificing himself.
He has beaten me completely. How could you die like that? How, Kakarot? You died without fear. What does that make of me? I am no warrior, and I will never fight again.
But in reality, Dragon Ball GT turns Vegeta into Gohan, and without a true rival in the show, it manages to lose its edge. The Dragon Balls have been an important part of the Dragon Ball series since the beginning, but what makes the Black Star Dragon Balls bad in Dragon Ball GT is its inclusion. The Black Star Dragon Balls allows for any wish, but the ramification for using them ends up being dangerous. Emperor Pilaf accidentally uses the Dragon Balls to wish that Goku was a kid again, and because of that, whatever planet the wish was made on will explode a year from when the wish was made.
Now that a wish has been made, the Earth is in danger of exploding unless all of the Black Star Dragon Balls are found and returned to Earth within 1 year.
And the biggest problem with the Black Star Dragon Balls is why they still existed. Apparently they were made long ago, but there was no reason for them not to be destroyed years ago. I mean, it's not like they didn't have a set of Dragon Balls already, not to mention the ones from New Namek. So it seems like the Black Star Dragon Balls were made just to get the characters to go into outer space and discover new planets. Pan was introduced at the end of Dragon Ball Z and is the daughter of Gohan and Videl, which of course means the granddaughter of Goku. Pan's character isn't terrible in the show and she does end up having some bright spots. But what lands Pan in the bad category is how the show turns into a damsel in distress for most of the series. I mean, Pan's character arc in the show would have been better if she learned to fight from Goku, and then gotten stronger as the series goes along. And then, by the end, or before then, she turns into a Super Saiyan for the first time. But instead, the show focuses more on Pan being saved by Goku and or Trunks. And Pan never turning Super Saiyan is one of the worst things about the show. Goku turning back into a kid was a big part of Dragon Ball GT. Goku remains a kid for the entirety of the series, and even though it's cool to see Goku as a kid again, it takes away the limelight of the other characters among other things. And this is mainly why Kid Goku is in the bad category. The show's ability to focus on Kid Goku in retrospect made all the other characters take a back seat. All the other Saiyans pretty much weren't that involved aside from the Baby Saga, but even then they were evil. Also, the show robs the audience of the opportunity to see Teen Gotenks or Gohan's power ascend even more. Plus, even as a kid, Goku's powers were limited. Because of his body, he couldn't sustain Super Saiyan 3, which was disappointing. But overall, Kid Goku isn't terrible though. Which leads us to... There's a lot of good things in Dragon Ball GT which makes it a watchable and enjoyable show for the most part. One of the best things about GT is that it gives the audience what Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball never did, which was Kid Goku as a Super Saiyan. Dragon Ball is a great series about Goku growing up and becoming a warrior, but the inclusion of Kid Goku being a Super Saiyan would have done well with showing Goku's growth as a warrior. But in the end, Dragon Ball GT does a nice job including it as sort of a fan service to those who love Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Another good thing about Dragon Ball GT is the villains in the show. The series does a nice job continuing the story of some villains that were introduced in Dragon Ball Z, and also adding new ones that go well for the series. Even though Dr. Mew is a direct replica of Dr. Gero, his character isn't bad, and the person he creates ends up being a great villain. And Baby's inclusion in the show does well for the series as he does a great job creating a believable backstory with him as a Tuffle. And the show also does well with Baby's powers. And I also like how the show starts him off as an actual baby, and as he gets older and stronger, he essentially grows into an adult. Plus, making him a parasite that can escape out of situations is great for his character. Also, him taking control of Vegeta and the Saiyans as a parasite is a great way for him to inflict his revenge on what King Vegeta did to him, and his race the Tuffles.
It was you barbaric, evil Saiyans who destroyed it, burning through our planet's resources like they were dry wheat.
And as if Baby wasn't good enough, the show introduces a new and improved Android 17 as Dr. Gero and Dr. Mew join forces in order to kill Goku. The show gives Super 17 some great abilities with him being able to absorb energy and get stronger. And the show really makes Super 17 incredibly strong and nearly impossible to beat. Goku couldn't beat him as a Super Saiyan 4, showing how strong Baby was compared to Super 17. And Goku had to use the good old to kill him. The Super 17 saga also does well with Android 18 fighting 17 because he kills Krillin.
You're right!
While also bringing back some familiar faces from Dragon Ball Z. And after the Super 17 saga, the villains continue to be good. The show does a nice job introducing the plot point of the Dragon Balls being used too much, causing a monster to come out of each one. And then the last one, Omega Shenron, being the strongest. And I mean, Omega Shenron probably isn't the best villain in Dragon Ball GT, but he is still really good. Also, the show does well showing how powerful he is, as a Super Saiyan 4 Goku by himself couldn't defeat him. But, of course, the Spirit Bomb does. But speaking of Super Saiyan 4, the Super Saiyan 4 form in Dragon Ball GT is one of the best things about the show, and arguably the best form in the franchise. From Goku's transformation to the actual look of the form. And aside from Super Saiyan 4 being completely different from the other forms, Super Saiyan 4 is special because it seems more in touch with what you would think a Super Saiyan would look like. And aside from simply having a tail and a fur, the form more showcases the power a Saiyan gets after transforming into a great ape. So it's kind of more close to their heritage. Plus, the long hair and the red fur is just dope. Come on. And the last good thing about Dragon Ball GT is the American intro. The English version ends up being a good song that gets the teen audience hooked right off the bat.
Step into the grand tour of Dragon Ball GT!
And it's a good change from the opening that Dragon Ball Z displayed throughout the series. And I gotta say, me rapping this shit as a kid is one of the hardest thing ever. And that's another reason why I love
Dragon Ball GT!
Vegeta's hair is in the ugly category, not because of how it looks, but because this show ends up disrespecting Vegeta by having him cut his hair. I mean, look, Vegeta is a proud Saiyan, and I will never forget when Bulma asked Vegeta about his hair in Dragon Ball Z after him and Trunks came out of the hyperbolic time chamber.
Huh? Vegeta, you don't look that different. Why didn't your hair grow at all?
For your information, a pure Saiyan's hair does not change from the day that he is born.
Oh.
So Vegeta cutting off one of the few things that reminds him of his Saiyan heritage and father is somewhat unlikely. Plus, Vegeta's hair is part of his identity as a true blood Saiyan. Shit, I mean, now he's no different than Gohan or Goten. Vegeta's transformation to become a Super Saiyan 4 via Bulma's machine is another disrespect to who Vegeta is as a character. I mean, since the series failed to show Vegeta training at any point, he accepts this idea from Bulma when in reality, Vegeta wouldn't use a machine to get stronger. Shit, this is the same guy that hates using sensu beans because it helps him get his strength back.
I hate when I'm forced to take these.
Plus, his transformation in the end isn't earned because he fails to do anything throughout the show. Well, I guess aside from killing Nappa, but come on, Krillin could have did that shit. So there you guys have it. That's Dragon Ball GT, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and also let me know which video you want to see next. But until then, this is Joshua Freeman. This has been Joshua vs. Television. I'm going to see you guys in the next match.